Alien disclosure is as close as it's ever been. The stage is set for the greatest deception the world has ever seen. We could very well see this deception take place soon. And there's definitely something going on with the phenomenon of UFOs and alien disclosure. It's not just some strange offset thing, but there's something going on with all that, and I'm going to get into it soon. But first, before that, just quickly going to say I'm sorry I haven't been posting lately. I was one strike away from losing my channel, and it just wasn't worth posting. So, and also for some reason I have a strike that's still on my channel that's like 5 months old. I don't know if that's, I don't know. I don't know if that's some new way they do things or something. I haven't really been focusing on YouTube lately, been working a ton. But yeah, again, sorry for not posting. Got plans for some videos coming soon. So let's just get right into it here. So the UFO Pentagon report that was released recently, talking about the unknown source of unknown objects. I posted a couple videos with some of these objects years ago. 2015 was when one of them came out, and these are military footage of these aircraft flying around that are completely something that we cannot do as human beings. Doing things that our aircraft just totally, completely impossible, going against what we know as physics. You know, these things disappear, reappear, and they just act in ways that, I mean, in my opinion, they're a spiritual phenomenon manifesting in the physical realm, and there's something to it. But in the Pentagon UFO report, it's an unknown source, unknown objects. They say they want to collect better data, but they're not saying it's, quote, aliens, but they're not ruling it out because they just don't know what it is. They studied 144 sightings within this UFO Pentagon report. And of course, as we know, if there's like some crazy one or something like that, they're not going to release that footage, or they're not going to disclose something that they 100% know as a fact for national security or whatever. They could say they could easily not have to put these things within their report. So within the Pentagon UFO report, of the 144 sightings that they studied, there was only one that they said they could identify. They said it was a deflating balloon or something along those lines. But still, that leaves 143 sightings that they're saying is unknown. So they're kind of admitting that there's things flying around. Well, they are admitting there's things flying around in the sky that we have no idea what they are, where they're from, who's controlling them, and how they are manipulating themselves and flying around the way they are, because it goes against everything that we know to be true. Flying and going speeds that we can't do, making turns that we can't do in our aircrafts, it just makes no sense. And there's also the reports from, the guy's name is Nick, I forget his last name, and he was the UK, I believe, defense minister who was like set to study UFOs in the UK or something, and they studied like, and he said about 2 or 3% of the UFO sightings they would get are completely unexplainable. You know, sometimes there's reports of these things flying over military base, shutting off nuclear silos and things. So there's something unknown going on, and the deception that could very well be being set up would be opening the door for the great deception and the great falling away mentioned in 2 Thessalonians 2, 1-3. And I really think there's something to this phenomenon because it's happening. I don't think it's just going to just be something that's happening and then it just has no part in anything, because it is going on. It's unexplained, and it's completely of a spiritual nature, in my opinion, through my research and also through personal experience. Seeing UFOs when I used to be unsaved, seeing them often, actually, you can sense when they're around. You can feel that it's a dark force. And, you know, when I became saved, I haven't seen a single one since. But that's a different story. I've mentioned it before. Maybe I'll get into it again one day. But if aliens do come, I believe that they will say Jesus is a clone, that they created him in the lab. I think they will have video footage of this that they will display worldwide, and they will say, you know, here he is. This is Jesus. We created him. Here's footage of him here. We also created Buddha. We created, Muhammad, or we are Allah, all these things. And it's like, oh, we made them to try to bring people together, but then you guys just fought each other, and, you know, you used it in a negative way, and now we're here to help you unite under a one world belief, showing you we created these things. Here's the video proof. Here's the DNA evidence. I mean, they'll make it in a way to where it's just so mind-blowing that anybody who goes against it, and there'll be so much, quote, proof that anybody who goes against it will seem like they're like the worst person ever. That's how it'll be set up. So when people, and when these forces and this end times kind of control system, when anyone goes against it, everybody else will say, just kill them. Yeah, we want them killed. They just shouldn't be here. You're crazy for not believing it. And that's pretty much how it'll be set up. This is a potential outcome for the end times, in my opinion. It really makes sense. And again, there is this phenomenon going on. What is it? It is spiritual. It has to play in some way or another. And it could play into the total end times great deception. I think the mark that they could potentially offer, the mark of the beast, would offer health. It would offer long life. It would just, again, be this thing to where if you got it, or if you didn't get it, people would look at you like you're completely crazy. You're a threat to society. You need to have this mark because it's good for all of us. And, just kill them if they don't take it. It's better because they're just harming people if they don't take it. I believe that's how it'll be. And we can look at people who have testimonies of being abducted and see that these forces are evil. They harm people. They do tests on their body. It's never positive. Everything these entities teach these people is occult knowledge. It's New Age knowledge. Nothing to do with Jesus. Nothing to do with God. These people who, nothing to do with the real God. And these people who have done this and experienced this and have called on Jesus, the abduction completely stops. The being harassed by these entities completely stops. And that alone shows that these things are of a spiritual and a demonic nature, truly. I'll attach a video in the description below of a couple testimonies and just testimonial proof of people who have experienced these things, and then they stop when you call on Jesus. I mean, it's just, why would that happen if these things weren't of an evil nature, of a demonic nature? They just are. I also think, if that's the case, and also, like I was saying, I think these things may say and show supposed proof that they created Jesus, they created these gods and all this stuff, that they could even say, they were all clones of this entity here, who will be the beast, the Antichrist, and then he's supposedly this great person or whatever. And they'll show all the evidence supposedly of the DNA and things like that, and showing how these are all tied and taken from this entity here, and he's the true person everyone needs to follow, who's going to unite everybody. I think that the Antichrist alien, if that is the case, could unite under the Pope and under the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church mentioned before years ago that they would baptize aliens if aliens came to Earth. And, they've talked about, if extraterrestrials are real, they're God's creation, and we could baptize them. Rome seems to have a part in the end times and the end times deception that goes on because of different verses, such as Revelation 7:9 or 17:9, that says it's the city of 7 hills. It says the 7 heads are 7 mountains in which the woman sits, and Rome is known as the city of 7 hills. Revelation 17:4 says that the woman was arrayed in scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a gold cup full of abominations. As we know, just like the Catholic Church has gold cups, pearl stones, they're one of the only religions, I think the only religion, who's known for dressing in scarlet and purple. If the Catholic Church somehow united under a one world religion with people, with them being the head, or at least leading the cause to unite Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, all gods under this false belief of, all of these religions are a manifestation of the one true God, and we all just need to unite and be one because God created all of them so people could follow them in their own ways. Not everybody would follow the one thing, but it's truly all God. Islam is the true God, and Hinduism is the true God, and, Catholicism is the true God. And he just created and showed us these different ways, like the New Age belief it's like that type of belief. And if they did do that, they'll definitely be part of the head of the end times deception. It's also strange that they have the obelisk there in Rome, such as the same one in DC, and as we see around the world, showing allegiance to Babylon. The soft disclosure that we're seeing through all this is truly paving the way for an alien deception that could easily be the case to get the whole world on board for an end times deception. It would have to be the deception of the great falling away, and the apostasy will have to be so great that the whole world will marvel after it. And every religion, every people, besides those who are truly awake and truly believe in Jesus Christ and followers of Jesus Christ, who don't believe the deception, everyone else will believe it. And the alien deception is clearly a way where that could take place to get all peoples, all beliefs, all religions, all people on board, to where, these things make contact and they're giving us knowledge and wealth and help, and, they're bringing food and all this stuff to Africa. They're teaching how to bring water, how to distill water from the ocean water, all this stuff. And it'll just be to where anyone who doesn't believe it, you're crazy. And then people will just say, just kill them. Just kill them if they don't believe it. It's those crazy Christians again. Just kill them. You just have to wonder what this deception is going to be that's going to cause a great falling away to make all the world marvel. And it could, again, just be the Antichrist leader, some world leader who rises up and then somehow gets these satanic supernatural powers, and people just marvel and follow after that. But you have to wonder what these things are flying in the sky and what role it plays in what's going on, because everything in creation is created by God and has some sort of purpose. And there is these fallen entities and Satan and the powers of darkness, and we know Satan in Ephesians 2:2 is the prince of the power of the air. He has these deceptions. These deceptions take place just like ghosts and things like that, and demonic stuff. When people are in these haunted houses or whatever, and then these voices appear, or things move, and they appear and disappear, and they act in the same exact way that these UFOs do. They appear, they disappear, they fly around, they do things that are impossible. It's like they're coming in and out of our realm, and there's just a veil between us and them that they're somehow breaking through. And it just has to play some part in something, because it is happening. Also, if you look into, or no, I obviously recommend looking into this per se, but if you know about the occult and things like that, many of them are obsessed with UFOs and aliens. If you look at Aleister Crowley's entity that he summoned, that thing looks exactly like a gray alien. There's also other occult people who teach stuff and teach you how to summon UFOs and different rituals you can do to make contact with aliens. And all these people, these new age people, when they're astral projecting and doing these things and making contact with these supposed entities that supposedly want to help, it's all through a spiritual means. How are they doing it through a spiritual means if it's not some sort of spiritual deception? It's very clear. So as we see with this UFO Pentagon report and all these different disclosures that are taking place, getting military footage declassified of things flying around doing things that are just completely impossible, it has to take place in some sort of deception that's going on. And again, with all of its ties and all these things ties to the occult and to spirituality of the wrong sorts, not of the one true living God, you just have to see that these things are a deception. So no matter what they do, what they show, what they come, if there's video footage, if they even were to bring these gods down and try to show us a Jesus or something and say, here he is, and try to deceive the world, something along these lines, it could be a deception of that great of a nature. So no matter what the case is, if it's anything tied to aliens, there is no good aliens. It's the same thing like when people do witchcraft and things like that. Some people say, oh, I only do white witchcraft. I only do good witchcraft, positive witchcraft. No, that's a complete deception to make you think you're not doing bad. And it ties you in to where you're stuck. You're stuck. It brings you in. That's how Satan works. He'll give you little bits here and there, little crumbs, just to keep you deceived enough to pull you in to where you're away from following Jesus Christ and the true way, the truth, and the life, Jesus. That's the only way to truth and life. These other ways are complete deceptions. There's no good witchcraft. There's no good aliens. There's no positive aliens out there trying to help us and, protect us. That's just a complete lie. So anything to do with these agendas, with this alien deception, whenever it takes place, if it does take place, there's got to be some tie to it, because it is happening. And if it does take place, do not fall for a single thing that these things say, do, show, or anything like that, because it will be a 100% deception and lie, even if it seems positive and good, and they're healing people and bringing food to nations or whatever. It's a deception to get you drawn in. That's how Satan works. Thanks for watching. More videos coming soon when I got the time. I pray everybody's doing well out there in the times that we live in. As we see with all these shortages going on, which will probably be what my next video will be on, we have shortages of everything: coin, metal, gasoline, food. It's like ridiculous. And we're seeing inflation and crazy things going on. As Revelation also says, a loaf of bread will cost a day's wages. So that's not the case right now. So it's smart to stock up and be preparing for things right now ahead of time. Freeze-dried food is the absolute best thing to do, because if you do canned goods that last a year or two, you have to rotate those things out, and sometimes it's hard to remember to do that. And so the best thing to do is to get freeze-dried food that lasts for like 20, 30 years, or actually more than that. It just loses like a little bit of its nutrition, I believe, after that time period. But get freeze-dried food now while you can, because it's pretty cheap. You know, with the inflation, with the dollar being pretty much, well, being 100% backed by nothing, inflation is taking place and could get a lot worse. The collapse of the dollar and some new system, just there's so many different outcomes for it to not be as easy to get food in the future, or definitely not as cheap at the very least. So stock up now. If you have extra money, stock up on food. Seriously, food and water. Those things are resources that will forever go on. And if you can somehow produce it or harvest it one way or another, start to do that, because that's the best way. And if you could freeze dry it yourself with a freeze dryer, then you can have food for 30 years. So just a reminder, and that's probably what I'll cover again next, but stock up now while it's clearly possible, because if there's like a 5-year, 7-year, whatever, 10, 15, who knows when all this is going to fully manifest itself. If things get more expensive and harder to get and all this stuff throughout the years, you're going to be happy that you spent some extra money on freeze-dried food and on food and water and things that you need, anything that you use, because those things will just go up in price and they could get a lot harder to get. So get it while you can. Thanks for watching. I pray everybody's well. God bless.